have Vaughn Jackson.
Hello.
Say hi, Vaughn.
Hello.
And Vaughn is a singer and an actress, and she's also a radio personality. She has Misfit Music on Wednesdays.
Yep, 7 to 9 p.m. on sauceliferadio.com.
Absolutely.
And
then sitting next to Vaughn, I have Akim Van, who is an educator. She's the owner of Bakery on Bergen. Tell them something about yourself, Akim.
That's pretty much it.
Cool, right? And then to her left, I have Miss Daphne Duget, who is a personal trainer and also a fitness editor for Heart and Soul magazine. Correct?
Correct.
And to her left, I have Dion Boney. Dion is a mortgage specialist. She's an entrepreneur. She's a hustler. She had a hand in a bunch of stuff, right?
Yes.
So these are my panelists, and then around us we have the community. So we have brothers and sisters here that are here to have input, to listen, and to experience this conversation. So I'm going to start with the first question, and I'll start with Vaughn, and then we'll move around the table. The question is, explain what Black feminism means to you. When you hear the word Black feminism, what does that mean to you?
Well, first and foremost, I am not a feminist. I'm just kidding. Contrary to popular belief, I guess because I'm just very opinionated and I'm very outspoken on respect of women and things like that, people tend to think that I am a feminist, but I am not. So I don't know if I'm the person that would be best suited to define it, but from what I've been reading, it's basically, okay, let me say this, I'm for what it stands for in terms of feminism was created to find, or I guess gather equal opportunity for women in terms of, employment, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm all for that, but I'm against feminism when it comes to how I feel it's divided the Black community, the Black family, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm as I found out when I was doing some research for this panel, I came across Alice Walker, who she started the movement called Womanism, and I think I kind of maybe I probably fall more under that category, if anything. Okay. So I'll talk more about that later.
Okay, cool. Kim?
I think in terms of the definition, what Black feminism has come to mean is more of a intersection of advocacy, not just about gender, but also with regard to race and class and whatever other ism you want to add in there. It's not just one-dimensional, which white feminism or feminism might be classified as, but maybe Black feminism is layered.
Okay.
That was my definition.
Daph, what you think?
I'm going to take a long way to answer this question. Initially, when you had told me to come on this panel, I was kind of intimidated. Like, whoa, I don't see myself as a Black feminist because I didn't really understand their thought and their concept. And I was kind of wondering, is it really needed now at this point? Because there was one point where women had to fight to vote. We no longer need to do that. There was a time where we needed to fight to become have our place in the workforce. We no longer need to do that. So now that it's 2016, I feel like it's no longer black and white. I think we're at a point where we can really define for what Black feminism is for us individually. And in sharing with Marlon, feeling like I don't consider myself a Black feminist, he said, well, listen, you're a Black woman, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing this, you're doing that. I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna define it for myself, where I feel like as a Black woman, just finding my voice, embracing my femininity, discovering my purpose, and allowing myself to have a platform to speak, is where I feel like I'm defining myself as a Black feminist. I don't feel like it's black and white in the year 2016. So that is what my idea.
Okay. And Dion?
I agree with Vaughn. I also, when we spoke and you asked me to participate, I definitely didn't feel that I was a black feminist or a feminist. Well, definitely not a feminist, but a black feminist. And after doing some research, I did find that being a black womanist would be more the title that I would feel the most comfortable. It is an extension of being a black feminist. It happens to just not ostracize the black male out of the equation, and still holding some value to structure and the responsibilities that we have, gender responsibilities. So that was important to me. So yeah, black feminism it is, I think it is still needed and prominent, you know, in the corporate world. You know, I did a lot of research. You know, the numbers, I think, was 63% of black women make less than the white man, versus Spanish women, I think, were the lowest, wherein white women are like 40% or something like that. So in that case, black feminists and feminism is still it's still valid because we are not equal, and I absolutely agree with everything that is geared towards us becoming equal.
Okay, so we have a panel of 4 women, and I don't think any of you would consider yourselves the prototypical definition of a black feminist, right?
As times
So-
have changed, yeah, it's hard to really
And life
to own that.
experiences.
Yeah,
too.
like
Life
when you do
experiences.
actual research on it, I think it's easy to say you're a black feminist when, like you explained to her, like you're an entrepreneur, you're an independent woman, and by knowing a little bit about what black feminism is, you tend to want to say, I am that, right? But then you do more research and you find out, you know, where it stemmed from, and you also find out that there are some negative associations to it. So then you try to find your place, and you try
Your
to find
definition,
either your
right.
definition of it, or you try to find another label to
Because
give
times have
yourself.
changed,
Well-
you know.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about some of the negative connotations or definitions of black feminism, because one of them, which may have been masked as a positive but is actually a negative, is the idea that a successful woman, or a woman that has her own per se, doesn't need a man, or this idea of separating the black woman from the black man. You find that in a lot of stats, and I know I've given you guys a bunch of stats, but one of the stats, a few of the stats that stood out was that only 20%, 26% of black women are married, and that's compared to 46% of other women. You know, if you look back in the 50s, 64% of black women were married. Only 33% of black women who gave birth last year were married. So that means that there's a lot of single mothers. 2 out of every 3 black women are single mothers. So, you know, obviously there's many factors that have conspired over time to diminish the family structure as it deals with the black family. However, the ideals of feminism, women doing anything that men can do, independence, liberation from tradition, do you feel like those tenets have done more to help or to harm the black family structure?
I don't think that, for me, that doesn't have anything to do with those statistics. I think that if you look at marital statistics over time, marriage in general is declining, black, white,
Right.
or other. So I think that would be the first thing that we should look at, like why as a society is marriage on the decline, period. And then clearly when anything happens, I think on a macro level, the black community, it's exaggerated with the black community. So there are so many other indicators that would point to why the black family is not, or marriages aren't on the up and up or on the decline. I mean, you know, the jail statistics for one. I mean, the sheer numbers of it all can explain so much of what's happening. I don't. For me personally, I don't think it has anything to do with I just don't think it has to do with,
Feminist movement.
yeah, I don't.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, to what you were saying, I mean, we live in white America. So, like you said, things that are affected overall in every race, when it comes down to us, because we live in white America, and we have this way of trying to take the way white America thinks and kind of make it our own. So in that case, yeah, we definitely have a larger number in our community that are not married. But to what I think you were about to say, I don't agree with it not stemming from feminism, because again, with the research that I did, feminism became this way of, you know, as people of color, we are very passionate, you know, and we took this idea of fighting for our right to be considered, as far as sexism and racism is relative to feminism. And when we created Black feminism, we started to become so independent that we started to say things like, I don't need a man. Also the LGBT community became a huge part of Black feminism. So that,
They don't want a man.
right, no, but
Yeah,
that's the
a
point
different-
though, right? But that's still the
Yeah, but that's-
association to a woman not needing a man, and a woman of color being so passionate about her sexual belief and then adding it on. So the Black feminism title, that's how it became so negative, because of that. Like it just, I think the wires got crossed and mixed up, which is why Alice Walker created Black womanism, because of the fact that she still felt like the purpose of Black feminism, she wanted that to still be prominent, but the association and the negative,
Too far.
yeah, it
Went
went
too
too far, and it was taking us away from the roles, the family structures, which is detrimental to our community, because we're not getting married. White America still does believe in getting married. They raise their children a certain way, you know. They believe in marriage. They will get divorced, but they believe in marriage. We will never get married.
I disagree that we will never get married.
I'm not saying that we will never, like,
Right,
as a
but I
whole,
just
but
know
I'm
as
just
an
saying, like, the
ideal,
way
that's
that we are kind of raising our kids to be so independent that we tend to not look for a partner, because we're so independent. It's like, you don't need a partner. Like, I need you for a little bit, but I don't really need to do anything to hold on to you, because I'm so independent. I don't need you.
Right, but I mean, I disagree with that, because that's not the way that I think, and I know a whole host of people, like, I'm afraid to say we all the time, because we are not a monolithic community,
Some.
right? I mean, necessarily, so, I mean,
'Cause I don't agree with that either,
I think that there are many Black families that are being raised to, you know, have marriage. That's what you want, that's what you raise your kids to.
I think it's human nature to want a partner. I don't think women would walk around like, I don't need a man, or I don't want a partner. I think it's human nature. We do want someone to love us and hold us down. Where I am a little confused is where we're getting lost, you know, in that, where we're not being able to find, or we're not being the nurturers, the women are not being the nurturers that we need to be for men, because we're so independent and we feel like, I got this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be the breadwinner, because I think we're so used to just fighting all the time that we don't, again, I hate using the word we, but just for a conversation piece, we don't know to back down and step into our femininity and support our men and be the nurturer and allow them to kind of catch up and step up and allow them to provide. Yes, to provide, because we're so used to just giving, fighting, and we're tearing down the Black man and now not allowing them to step up and having us women nurture them and comfort them and support them the way they need to be supported.
Yeah, I want to hear from Vaughn, because you said you disagree.
Yeah, I disagreed also. Just to kind of, I took notes so that I would remember. So I'm gonna read some of my notes, but I wanted to bring up in terms of the whole the hate black men part of feminism, it's real. It really did happen, and I have to bring up Gloria Steinem, who was a very well-known, one of the biggest, most popular feminists back in the 60s and 70s, and there's actually, well, first of all, some people believe, or it's been proven, that she was actually a CIA agent. She was sent into the Black Revolution to infiltrate and separate the black women from the black men. So I don't want to get too deep into. I don't want to go too left.
Well, let me just add an aside to that, because the fact is that the Black nationalist movement was infiltrated by the CIA. That's fact, right? Leaders were killed, leaders were jailed, organizations were ripped apart from the inside out, and that did happen. So from a male standpoint, black men understand that that's happened to them, right? But from a female standpoint, I think that I don't want to say it's new news, but I think that it's a bit like it's new to some people to consider the fact that Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent, and furthermore that the black woman was infiltrated in terms of her way of thinking about herself and of the black man and of family.
And she played a big role in that whole hate black men, I could do it all by myself. That was her message. And she actually wrote a book, and I'm sure you've heard of it. Well, they said it was written by Michelle Wallace. It was called Black Macho and the Myth of Superwoman. But it's been proven that she actually was the ghostwriter to that, which was basically teaching black women, you don't need a man. You can do it by yourself. So I do feel like it totally, subconsciously, it does play a part in that whole, I'm gonna have a baby, but I don't need him to stay. Or if you notice, even in 2016, we have more baby showers than we have weddings. Because it's still
And they've turned the baby showers
into weddings. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually throwing one in 3 weeks, and I'm like, my purpose is to take it back to what it used to be. This is not a wedding.
Yeah,
It's a
we
baby
have a
shower.
family structure.
Right.
We do want to celebrate the coming baby, but
And it's like subconsciously, I'm not knocking anybody who's done it, but it's like, I feel like black women are accepting just being a baby mother, and the whole marriage thing is not as important as it used to be. In my generation, we were taught, my sisters and I, you get that ring, you go looking for a man, and you wait for your husband to find you. That's not the case these days, and it all ties back into feminism playing a huge part, I believe, in that happening. We can also talk about what's her name? Margaret Sanger with Planned Parenthood, and I know those are one of your. You mentioned that also.
Right.
Compulsory sterilization program.
Right.
That was to again destroy the black race, the culture, wherein they were taking a lot from the men. That was the way that they attacked the women. Also, one of the notes that I took, they were saying something to the effect, white women are seen as delicate flowers that need protecting. This was the excuse that white men used to rectify the oppression, hence the reason why white women started feminism. And then with black women, this is where we differ, and we had to separate ourselves, because with black women back in the slavery days, we were subjected to the same harsh labor as the black man, to violence, cruelty, as the black man. So we have always been structured to be